Hey everyone. So in our previous video, we created our first TestRigor project and executed a basic test case. But now it's time to unlock the real power of TestRigor. So we will write complex test cases using plain English. No code, no framework required, just human language that anyone can understand. So let's begin. So these are the topics which we will be covering for this video. We will see the core concept of plain English testing, test trigger command structure, variables and dynamic data, reusable steps and custom commands, handling conditions and loops, multi-platform support, best practices, and some like one of the live example end-to-end flow. We will see that. So in traditional automation framework, whenever we are like locating in an element and performing some actions, we have to write the statements for uh, commands or actions like send keys or clicking like this. If you can see in traditional automation, we have to write in this format. We have to call the direct find element from the driver object, then send keys. This is the action, this is the action, and this is the click for that particular element. But in test trigger it becomes a very simple English language to understand. We can just enter, like we can just write statements like enter admin into the username, enter the password admin123 into the password, and then click on login. So it becomes this easy uh, compared to the complex code automation frameworks which we usually have. So let's break down how test trigger understands English. So we have action words like click, enter, check, wait, scroll, targets like elements or fields on the page written as they appear visually, like login button, search field. So those we can use, and the inputs which we can use is strings, variables, or file data. So combining all this, we can create simple statements based on English language, and like for example, if I have to add something on the cart, like I can just write that click on add to cart in double quotes, and then like to verify something I can write check that page contains item added successfully message. So like this we can do it. So let's open a new test case and write a simple thing like login. Let's create a new test case. um, so I'll just copy this URL. Open is something like we will be using for opening a URL. So I'll give that URL here, and then what we do after that, we'll enter the username here, password here, we'll enter the email address here and password here. So yeah, uh, then click on login. So I'll write that enter. So see, if you can see, there are multiple commands we can easily use. It suggests us to use different types of commands as per our scenario. So for us, it just need to enter a value into the element. So I'll use this, enter a value. What we have to enter? We have to enter a username. So I am giving this username. So as of now, I'm just giving it here. I'm not dynamically passing or doing parameterizing using a variable. I'm just giving the hardcode data here. Later we'll do that. Into where? Into the email address. Next, enter the same thing. Password is 12345 element password. Click what we need to click the login. Okay, I think this looks okay. So this is the entire flow. Opening the URL, entering username password, then click on login button. That's all. So I can do one thing. Open cart. This is a description we can write in a proper way. Add this test case and definitely it will start running as well. We can see it here. View steps. These are the steps which you can see. View execution. I think we can see the real-time execution here. Okay, maybe it's not been developed yet. It's still starting to execute. Okay, yeah, if you can see, triggered at this time, starting with the URL. Okay, maybe there is some issue with the URL. Let me check. I try to open this URL if this is fine or not. Yeah, this looks okay. So the test case has been passed. If you can see here, it has gone to the URL, entered the values, username, password, and clicked on login. Yeah, this looks fine. I'll add another step here. Let me check. 05321 Gaurav GP. It will log in, then it will verify the text. Yeah, I can do this. I'll add this tab as well. Edit test case. Okay, sorry. Check that verify my account text is present. Hope it's fine. Close tab. Let me save and retest again. Okay, verify missing. So what is the issue in this? Okay. Hmm. So I have asked AI to create its own rules and then saved. I restarted the testing. Let me check what is okay. It's still running. So in this test case, I've just added a new step whether this account is my account text is present or not. So let's see what happens. There's some issue. Just cancel this one. Retest. It's already started retesting it. Okay, okay, okay. It has gone to enter. Definitely there is some problem in the second last step where I am verifying it. Maybe it's not going into the login thing. Okay, logged in my account. Check that page contains my account. Yeah, and this is closing. So the test case is passed. I'll just refresh it. So yeah, this is how like we can verify with the different type of actions. Simple English like click, enter, check, verify, wait, scroll. So these things we can use. We have to use it with the elements, like whether it's a button or text. So as per that, we have to create a good statement and like make it work as a script. So this is how we can do it. So one of the most powerful features in TestRigor is the ability to use variables. Let's say we want to store and reuse the data. Suppose we have to store our username password because we don't want to display it locally. We want to store it in somewhere so that it gets restricted to be visible to the users or to someone who is using it. So we can set the variable for that, like user email, user password, and we can store that value of that email and password. So this can be used in other data also wherever required. So even we can capture values from the UI. So um, this really will be helpful and it will be possible to create fully dynamic tests without a single code loop. So these are the list of test cases. I'll go to test data. Yeah, this one. So I'll store all the things which are required. Let me check the values. Okay, I'll just create here. Then I'll go there. Okay. So let's create some global variables here so that it can be used across all the suits and all the test cases. Username, night 1G. Okay, it's an email. Sorry. Add text. Done with pass username, password. I'll give the name of the variable and the password. Okay, okay. These two things are added, I guess. Data group. Okay, email and password are added. So we'll use this variable in our test case. Enter this. This will be the password. Cool. So one of the most powerful feature in TestRigor is the ability to use the variables. So let's say we want to store and reuse the data. For example, we are passing in username and password, so we can store it in the global variable of the values in these variables like username, password, and then reutilize it in the test steps. We don't need to hard code it, and we don't need to disclose our data directly into the steps. So we can just call the variables. And yeah, so this kind, let's see that. So this is the test case. Going to the URL, login with username, password, clicking on login, verifying my account is present. So here clearly we are seeing the data, but this is not the right way. We have to optimize it more so that the data hiding should be there. And for that, let's go to test data. Test data is here, and yeah, so I have already added email for the username, I mean email ID, and password for the password of that application. So this comes under global variable in test data. We can set global variables, data sets, anything we can set here. Then going back to the test case, okay. So here we have to recall the variable. For that we have to call email, and here password, because those are the variables that are being created in the global variable. Stored data, this is very important. Call entered stored variable, stored value, and email address entered, stored value. Okay, because we have to specify that we have to enter the stored value which is present under this email or password variable. So let's save it and run it again. Here only we can see all the runs that are happened for this specific test case. So the execution is over. If you can see, this is the last run and it has passed properly. It has navigated, then it has verified my account is present or not. So all the steps are passed here. It has closed the browser as well. So not only this, uh, it can even capture the values from the UI also. So remember, like we have few values of order ID of or anything which we can fetch, and we have to compare with our expected value. So those kind of assertions we can do. We have to like uh, write the statement as per that. So if we have yeah, if there is a validation which we have to do that, uh, the very check that the page contains a title or the username. So we can write that as well with contains the value of the variable. The vari This can be email. Suppose we have to verify that the username is present and the username is stored in the global variable. So the value can be stored, can be validated, uh, but we have to call the variable of it, and we have to write a statement like this, like check that the page contains value of variable username. So this is how we can write the steps and then do the assertions as well. So to keep the test cases clean and organized, TestRigor allows us to define reusable steps also. So for example, you might create a reusable step called login as standard user. So which contains like enter username, password, login, click login. So that can be reused in a different test case. So other test cases you can simply write like login as standard user. So that is the name you have given for the login step. So login test case, so that you can just call out there and then write your own actions for that particular test case. So if you can see, let's create another test case like verify my orders. Okay. So suppose there is a test case which I need to run. So this is the one. Mm, let's open this. Here I have to log in, then I have to verify that my order header is present or not. But I'm just writing here that before that I have to write the login step also, and then verify that the page contains my orders. When I try to reuse any existing test, it will not be coming. So let's try with login to open cart which I created. Okay, this is not coming. This is not coming because we haven't created any reusable tests or rules that we can reuse in any other test. So for that, let's go to reusable rules. Okay, let me open another test case. Yeah, I'll take this test case as well. So first we have to set a rule that we have this rule of reusable test which we can reuse in any of the test case. For that we have to create new rule here, login to open cart, login. I'm giving the name and the label. Then I'm uh, copying these methods. Okay, I'm just copying and keeping here. Okay, so I have just created a rule that, and I'm saving here as well. So this is one of the, these are the unnecessary things which got created. I will just delete that because we just created one rule to reuse the login part. Yeah, okay. Let me go to the test case. This is our verify my order. What I will do now, if I try to do it, yeah, log into open cart. This I can reuse. I can see that this gets populated when we are searching with this. So we can reuse this method and then write our actions or validations, whichever we do, and then save it. So we can run this. I'm sure that this will run and it will get pass. So as you can see, this test is running. It has navigated. That means it is using our reusable method and then taking the URL, putting in the username, password, and then clicking on login. So it will perform all the tasks. And at the last, it will verify that the page contains my orders. It's still running. So this is how like we can define the rules, reusable rules under this tab, where we can create few of the rules and that can be reutilized. whenever it is required, because we don't want any duplicacy or duplicate methods to be rewritten again and again in the test. So yeah, that's how we can optimize our tests more clearly, and the statements also, it looks cool. So whenever you're creating a rule, just give a understandable and clear name to it. So because we are using and we are calling the name with this text which we are giving. This is running still, I guess. Yeah. So somehow it has failed, but as I said, it has taken our reusable method into it, and it's working. There must be some issue with the URL or something which is not working. I will check on that. Even though the test trigger is no code, it still support logic control using natural commands. For example, you can conditionally verify or repeat actions. So if I can just check, these are the test cases. Yeah, this is one of the statements which I have written, like if page contains error, click retry. So these are kinds of if conditions we can give it. Like if some actions, if we are waiting for an action to happen, so it will wait and then it will click or do any other actions which is as per the scenario. And also like repeat while page contains loading. So yeah, this kind of statements we can mm, like use it in the tests. So this allows us to handle dynamic content, retries or multiple iterations, all without writing a script. So like whether you are testing a web page and or mobile app or API, the syntax stays consistent. So we'll check that. We can use same English based commands to automate across multiple platforms. For example, we can write just writing like open app, then tap payments, and like check that page contains element like some UK payments. So these kind of things also we can write. This is for the mobile because we are using open app and tap for we are tapping on the screen. So yeah, like this also we can write. So the say that same logic applies for web or mobile environments, making this test trigger more cross platform automation, and yet very simple. So yeah, this is a good benefit for using test trigger. So let's see some of the best practices for writing the effective tests in the test trigger. So we have to use element name as they appear in the UI. That is the best way so that it catches those elements properly and work nicely with the test steps. So keep steps simple, one action per line. Yeah, so some actions, if we need also like multiple actions to perform, we can just keep it in different line. No need to put multiple actions in a single line, like use enter username and password. We can put it in two lines. No need to put it in single line. So let's keep it that simple. Third point is use reusable steps to avoid duplication. Yeah, this is what we have discussed, right? We have to create reusable rules whenever required. Suppose the best example is we have login method. We are going to the URL, clicking, entering username, password, and clicking on login. So this is a repeated step for multiple test cases. This can be considered as reusable and it can be used everywhere wherever required. Use meaningful variable names for clarity. Yeah, this is one of the important point. Regularly review failed test cases to refine element recognition. Yeah, so there are chances like our elements gets modified frequently with UI changes. So we have to review those failed test cases whenever required. So let's create a quick end-to-end test for a login and verify some of the fields or the headers present in the page. So as you can see, I have this login to cart where I have entered the URL, inputted username password with the help of variables, click the button with text login. This is one part. Then we are having our test assertion in the next in a different test. So I am just calling out the reusable rule of login to open cart. If you can see there the steps are mentioned and they are hovered off there, and then like I'm just verifying whether the page contains my orders, whether the page contains address book. So like this we can have multiple validations here. So yeah, once we run the test it will work smoothly, and we have checked that it has worked without any problem. So yeah, TestRigor executes each instructions automatically, validating UI and data in real time. So this is a good thing. Today you saw how TestRigor turns plain English into executable automation. In the next video, we will explore how to integrate TestRigor with tools like Jenkins, Jira, and TestRail, so you can embed your test right into your CI/CD pipeline. So if you find this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more TestRigor tutorials. Thanks for watching, and let's continue simplifying automation together.